Yeah, we'll just hit the record button, let it go where it's going. So, all right. So you sent me an email with some documents. I was just wondering. I didn't have a chance to really review them. I looked at one, the very first one,
Yeah.
and it looked like this is something that you drew up, all these documents.
Well, that's a good point. I drew these documents up based on research and study on how to remove myself from the jurisdiction of the civil procedure and the so-called courts that are acting as traffic courts or administration centers dressed up to look like courts. So, but that is all paperwork that I drew up based on good, valid information, especially the 12 presumptions that I rebutted that were sent to me by a clerk of the courts who is very much into the sovereignty and patriot movement.
Very good. All right. So you know what? I didn't even open this up because we just hit the record button. We're like snap. So this is a follow-up to the last podcast that Ron and I did together. We called it Living in the Fiction, where we're explaining that there is this perceived authority and how this perceived authority is abused by the people that are participating in this. Okay. And so Ron did a great job on the last podcast of explaining how this works. And we're now doing a kind of sort of a phase two. And we're going to get into a phase three too, Ron, if you're good with it, because I've been doing a lot of research on um, all this all this sort of hypnosis and this sort of we've slowly been indoctrinated into this idea of communism and fascism and socialism without even knowing that this has happened to us. And I really want to outline it in a way where people can really understand it. Because for a long time, I was like, well, how does this work? Like, how does a group are able to enact just a series of ideas and beliefs and have people actually go along with it with such conviction, right? And without even thinking about if it's moral, is it immoral, without even these thoughts about that. How does this actually happen? So it spawned me. The last podcast we did really drove me to do some research on this more than I ever have. I probably spent about 7, 8 hours doing this and found some really great information that I'm looking forward to doing on another podcast. So, but this one is sort of a sequel to the first one because you've got some things coming on that we'd like to talk about and get out there.
Yeah, I'm going to court tomorrow at 1:30 as a visitor, not as a defendant, because that is what I mentioned before. I sent you this document with rebuttal, which one of them is rebuttals to the key presumptions that the court makes about anyone who is going to attend one of their courts, and they're not really a court. So what I did was, as soon as I got unlawfully arrested on August 18th and 19th by Melbourne, Florida Police Department. Then the Brevard County Sheriffs took me over to the jail complex out on Camp Road, and then they strapped me to a chair and they choked me and they stole my fingerprints from me and my picture, and then they kicked me out the door and sent out a summons for me to appear in their court center. So I found out that unless you reject a summons, then you're expected to show up. So since then, I have rejected the summons. I got my summons in the mail and I wrote rejected on it, and I took it to the clerk of the courts and filed it, along with rejections of the 12 key presumptions that the traffic court is going to make about you before you come in, like public oath, collateral, having to obey the courts. And so what I did was I rejected each one of them and put that on the record. Now, here's how, and I'm going to start doing this for people. I'm going to put an ad out on Craigslist or somewhere that if you ever get a DUI or if you get arrested and you're going to court over some misdemeanor thing where there's no injured party, even a DUI with no injured party, let's say you're traveling home and you 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 haven't caused an accident or anything, and a so-called police officer pulls you over and gives you a DUI. Maybe you had a beer or two, but you haven't caused an accident. Nothing's happening. Well, they're going to charge you with driving under the influence. Well, most people are not driving. And so you might get that. So you have to rebut all of their presumptions. And I have a great form now that I've created, which I sent you, which is a rebuttal to all of the key presumptions that they are using against you when you make an appearance in court. And I'm not appearing tomorrow at 1:30 in the afternoon. I am actually showing up as a visitor, which I put on paperwork into the record. And so when you have an open case, you have pretty much an open dialogue to the clerk of the courts, meaning you can file paperwork on your case for free and it gets logged into and docked into the docket and it goes on the public record. Even though the courts are pretending to be public, they're actually really private, holding a private bar guild meeting and business. So what I have done now since the 18th and 19th, I went into court on the 13th of September, last Tuesday. And I went in there holding my birth certificate bond in my hand. And I don't think we didn't go over this, right? So I went in holding my birth certificate bond in my hand, and they said, "Oh, are you Ronald Farnham?" And I said, "No, I'm here to discuss the matter about my trust, my birth bond, right here. That is Ronald Russell Farnham, the trust of which I am beneficiary and true executor." Now, one of the rebuttals is that you have to rebut that the prosecutor is the beneficiary of your birth bond trust, and so you have to make statements on paper that you file with the recorder before you go into court that become facts withstanding. Facts, FACTS, a fact. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it, but let your audience know, FACTS, facts withstanding. That's legal English for here's some information I'm putting into the record with the clerk of the court for my case number. And now when I enter the court, these are facts that have standing that are going to be used as part of the determining factor of how the judge is going to determine what the awarding will be or how this contract is going to play out. All right. So do you have any questions so far?
No. Yeah, keep rolling. Keep rolling.
So what I did was I rebutted all their facts, and then I went in and into the court on the 13th as a visitor and said, "I'm here just to, they had my name as Ronald Farnham on their paperwork, and I am :space RONALD dash RUSSELL space :space FARNHAM. That is my living soul, flesh and blood, soul possessing name."
Is this
And
the
these
name that you have filed in the county clerk? Is this the name that you filed? Is this your official name that you've?
Well, yeah, I said that I am :space Ronanonymous, aka space :space Ronald dash Russell space :space Farnham, meaning that's my living soul name, which is different than all capitalized Ronald Russell Farnham, so that they know that there's a difference between this corporate fiction and the living soul name that I go by, which is Ronanonymous. I stood there behind the bar and said, "Hey, I'm here holding up my birth certificate to clear up the matter between of the Ronald Russell Farnham Trust." So she said, "Well, enter the bar, approach the podium." So I did, and she made me swear in, which I questioned. It's like, what am I swearing to? There's no Bible here. Well, you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Fine. So I swore in. And then she said, "State your name," because they have a format. Now, I had already rejected the presumption that I had to obey the rules. And before I even entered the bar, I was sitting in the courtroom and the bailiff said, "All rise for the judge Madoff, Macduff or something." And I was the only one who did not rise because I did not want to show by body language that I am under the jurisdiction of the judge or the court. That's why they ask you to do that. When they say all rise, they want you to show by body language that you're now under the jurisdiction of the court. So I didn't rise. And because I didn't rise, the bailiff comes to me and he goes, "Hey, you need to stand up." "You didn't stand up." I go, "Why?" So I show by body language that under your jurisdiction. I already rejected all those presumptions. So he said, "Get out of the court. We're throwing you out of the court for not obeying the rules." But I had already filed on the record that I don't have to follow the rules of the court, which they took their time filing, and it's not on my record yet that I filed these documents and rebuttals and rejections of their presumptions against me into the record. And so I went to the clerk of the court today and filed more rejections, rebuttals, and said, "Hey, I went in there last week to court and they didn't have my filing. Where is it?" And he goes, "Oh, well, we're just now scanning it in." I go, "Look, if I'm going to attend as a visitor, they need to have this information on the record because I'm not going to go in there just as a. I'm doing a podcast interview real quick, but are you home? Hold on for a second.
Yeah, you get.
You want something? I'm only going to be about 15 more minutes,
Okay,
but I'll make
when you
it.
have a few minutes, we want to talk to you in there.
Oh,
So when you're done.
okay. All right. Are you guys in a big hurry? This is a quick interview that, okay. It's about my court case tomorrow. And I only got about 10 or 15 more minutes because
Good.
I belong to the Fraternal Order of the Eagles and I am the kitchen manager. And so I'm helping raise money, put out good food and everything like that. In
Awesome.
fact, come on in if you want Monday Night Football. I'll make you something, buy you a drink.
Hey, there we go.
$2 drafts. Anyway, so I'm standing at the bar. She says, enter. She had me swear in. She said, state your name. And I said, and I didn't state it out loud. I said, colon space Rononymous. That spells Ronanonymous. And she said, are you Ronald Farnham? And in all truth, no, I'm not Ronald Farnham. I go, no, I'm not Ronald Farnham. There's a million Ronald Farnhams out there. I go, I'm here to clear up the matter of the Ronald Russell Farnham Trust, of which I am beneficiary and true executor. So she goes, Ronald Farnham, Ronald Farnham, Ronald Farnham. There's no Ronald Farnham here. And she issued a warrant for Ronald Farnham's arrest. She goes, you can go sit down. I was like, fine. I walked out and I tried to get my girlfriend and my mom to leave. And the bailiff was blocking the door and he goes, you're not going anywhere. I go, why? She said I could leave. He goes, no, I'm investigating who you are. I go, well, you go do your investigation. I'm leaving. He grabbed me by the arm and slammed me down into one of the booths, like the chair, the seating benches that they have out there. And then he arrested me and handcuffed me. And the judge had fled the courtroom. And then the judge came back in and rescinded the warrant for my arrest and said she's setting a new date for the 20th, which is tomorrow at 1:30 p.m.
Wow.
So they had the name screwed up. I rebutted all their presumptions and I emailed everything to Phil Archer, the Brevard County State Attorney, saying, hey, I have rebutted all of this stuff. And so now I'm in the position where I have them in check and pretty much checkmate because they owe me for using my name, which I put on my paperwork also without my written permission and paying me a fee, which is millions of dollars I've put on the record into my case. So if something happens to me, I get shot, I get suicided or something like that. I have forwarded you a lot of that paperwork because, and I forwarded it to certain friends and family members, and I consider you a friend, and I wanted you to have it moving forward from today because I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm too powerful for their court to be able to handle what I'm about to do, which is shut down all of the courts in the United States that are running a racket. And I have the paperwork to do it. And then I'm going to start teaching everyone pro bono. If you get a DUI, if you get pulled over for a citation and there's no injured party, just the cop pulled you over and harassed you, took you to jail, you email me, you message me, I will show you how to file all the information on the record to remove yourself from their jurisdiction so that they have to drop and dismiss the case because they are ruining people's lives intentionally. So that's this follow-up. I know it's not a long interview, but I have to go into a trustee meeting here in a few minutes, but that's what I really wanted to get at.
Man, this is awesome. I thank you for doing this talk. I know it's a shorter one, but it's short and sweet, and we all got your back, man. I'm very, I mean, I've been talking to my dad about this. It's like he wanted to jump in on the Zoom call too. He's like, I really want to see what's going on here. But yeah, we're pulling for you, man. I mean, this is just absolutely you are one in a million. You know what you're doing
Thanks.
right now, and
I appreciate it.
I really want to get this information out there to people. And this is just a very, very like small little speck on a very large pane of all of the abuses that have come down on the not just the American people, but the people of the world from governing factions, from perceived authority figures, and how we've all been led down this sort of belief that we're not sovereign, that we're not living souls, but we're just autonomous robots that just have to obey and be compliant to everything. And you are a human being who has taken yourself out of that, has learned, has gained the knowledge of what it takes to understand the fiction in a way that not a lot of people have. And for that,
Right.
I'm so grateful for you, man. I really appreciate you
Thank
talking about
you.
this and putting it on the line like that. And I'm really looking forward to doing further podcasts with you where we can
I'll
actually get
be
into details and show people, how this process actually works. And I'm part of the whole crowd of brainwashed people. I've been totally brainwashed, just totally going along with everything. And you go, how? What does it take? What does it take if you are an abuser, is really what it is. You're a sociopathic abuser, to abuse somebody without them even knowing that they're being abused, with them just going along with it. It's like Stockholm syndrome and all these different things
Yeah.
that are happening in our society. So I would love
Yeah.
to unfold this sort of flower, peel the layers of the onion back. And this, what you're going through right now, is the prime example of how this whole thing operates. It goes from this very small level. It goes to it goes to our counties and our cities and our states, and it goes to our nations, and it's the entire world operating on this sort of scheme. It's a sort of a scam, and it's really pulling people away from their soul and pulling them away from their
Yes.
spirit. So
Sure.
I am
Well,
grateful for you,
grateful.
man. I'm so grateful for you. Um, I'm going to be
I'm
putting my
going to
energy.
text you tomorrow when I get out of the administration center there up at Fran Jameson Way in Vierra, Florida, and I'll let you know what happened. If you don't hear from me by 5 p.m., then that means I'm being held somewhere. And if I die, I'm not suicidal and I am in my right mind, just to let you know that, okay?
Oh, I know you are, my man. I know you are, brother. So hey, so I'm gonna call. I'll text you tomorrow. I don't know what time, but I'm gonna text you before that time frame. So
1:30 is I'm showing up as a visitor,
okay.
not a defendant. I put that on the record too. I'm here as a visitor. I want to teach everyone how to do this. After tomorrow, I'm going to start. I have all the forms. I'm going to help everybody who's getting scammed by this whole system.
Well, we talked about this. Remember, we talked about this way back. We said, you know what, Ron, you need to get a program going about how to teach people how this operation actually works. And if
Yeah.
there's anything I can do, I swear, if there's anything I can do, just let me know, and I will do anything I can to help you
We're
in
just
this
going to get the
process.
word out. Our last interview had over 340 views,
Yeah.
so that's really good.
Yeah, that
I'm
is
glad
really
it's
good.
picking up.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I want to ramp it up, because this is just, it's not like we're trying to like get views, because we want to get views for popularity. We're trying to get
No.
people aware of what the hell is going
Yes.
on in our world right now. So,
Yeah. Exactly.
this is the whole purpose of all this. So, and you are going through the ringer right now to
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
people, like
I
this is
know.
this is
I'm
the
going to go tell the people who are employing me right now, hey, this is what's about to happen tomorrow. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to go talk to them in a meeting, in the trustee meeting, because I'm their manager and I'm working on building up clientele, putting out healthy quality food, and building up this fraternal order for this private club.
Cool, man. Hey, listen. All right, I know you got to go, so I'll let you go, but I will be in touch with you. And at 1:30 tomorrow, I'll be sending every positive vibe I can your way, and we'll get this out there and posted. And I'll be in touch with you tomorrow. I'll be talking to you
Thanks,
about tomorrow,
baby.
Ron. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thanks for making time for me. I really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
making time for me, my man. I love you.
All right, bro.
Later.
Peace.
Later.